What's going on, YouTube? So even if you don't know much about cars, you probably know that the Toyota RAV4 is a very, very popular vehicle. It's been the best-selling non-truck in the US for several years, and is the default choice for many American families looking for a compact SUV. But as always, there are challengers looking to steal away some of those families. And the latest is this all-new Mazda CX-50. It's got a tougher and boxier look, kind of like the RAV4, and it's hoping to combine that with the typical luxury and great driving dynamics that Mazdas are known for. So were they successful in their mission of beating the segment leader? Let's go ahead and find out. So to get things established here, let's quickly talk about the pricing and option levels of these two. For this comparison, we have the fully loaded versions of each, with the optional engines. For the new CX-50, that means the Turbo Premium Plus, which rings in at $43,170 after the paint and destination charges. Keeping things equivalent, we have the RAV4 Limited Hybrid, which starts at a lower price but has a lot of options to add to be fully loaded. All told, it finishes only $209 more than the Mazda for a total of $43,379. So the prices are very similar, but the designs are not. Both of them seem to play towards the people that want their small crossovers to look tough, but otherwise the details of how they get there are very different. The RAV4's grille has an aggressive, scowling look to it, while the Mazda's is more like a smile, but in a blacked-out, sinister way. As far as the lighting, the RAV4 has been upgraded for 2022, and is now using full LED elements for all parts, just like the CX-50. One advantage it has, though, is that it includes LED fog lamps, which are not available on the Mazda. But the CX-50 fights back with adaptive abilities for its headlights. Around at the sides, both use black cladding to emphasize toughness. But the Mazda looks more stylish since it's using 20-inch alloy wheels versus 18s in the Toyota. And as far as the back, the same design themes repeat, so of course preferences here come down to personal taste. But as far as features, both have exposed wipers and silver accents with dual exhaust. But only the Mazda makes every element of the taillights LED. Now checking out some of the individual odd and end features. Both of their mirrors have heating and blind spot monitoring, but only the CX-50 has power folding and auto dimming. And, of course, for family vehicles, you'll want more than just BSM. So you'll be happy to know that both crossovers have very comprehensive safety suites. Even the base models will include full speed adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, and auto high beam headlights. And the last thing on the outside is that they share 3-year 36,000 mile bumper to bumper warranties and 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain warranties. But Toyota does give you 2 years of complimentary maintenance, which Mazda does not. But anyway, that concludes the outside. So now let's see who is giving you the most on the inside before we take them out for a spin. So approaching both vehicles, you will find smart entry systems with remote start available through each brand's respective phone apps. But once we open up the doors, you'll see nicely appointed interiors that also have plenty of utility. Starting by talking about the seats themselves, both have 8 ways of adjustment: heating, ventilation, and 2-person memory. However, the Mazda has the advantage of using real leather instead of soft text leatherette. Once inside the cabins, we can check out the broad category of material quality. The fully loaded RAV4 enhances the material quality quite a lot over the other trim levels, which brings it pretty much in line with what the CX-50 has. Both use a nice amount of soft touch plastics and stitched leathers to make them feel worthy of their above $40,000 price tags. After startup, the gauges are very similar to each other with their large multifunction displays. However, the CX-50 also includes a head-up display, which is something not currently offered on the RAV. Coming back to the steering wheels, both are leather wrapped with heating and they have rain-sensing wipers. But moving on to one of our most important elements, let's discuss the storage. The CX-50 is not bad, but the RAV4 has more and larger storage cubbies pretty much every step of the way, especially once we factor in the deeper cup holders and the signature storage shelf. Additionally, the Toyota has an extra USB port which is conveniently located under the climate controls instead of inside the console. Both of them have normal shifters, and when in reverse you'll see 360-degree backup cameras appear, but the Mazda's resolution is higher. Both of them have electronic parking brakes and auto hold, but the Toyota's disengages and engages automatically. Moving up the dashboard, both have dual-zone automatic climate controls with simple knobs. And they also have the upgraded sound systems. So let's go ahead and take a sample. Overall, they both sound quite nice and are roughly equivalent to my ears. But now let's start to unpack these infotainment systems, because they are very different from each other. For starters, the screen sizes are 9 inches with the refresh RAV4 and 10.25 inches for the CX-50. However, it's very important to note that the Mazda's display is not a touchscreen, unless you are using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So that will mean you have to use the knob on the console. And speaking of those systems, both vehicles have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but only the Mazda runs them wirelessly. Wrapping up the front of the cabins, both have auto-dimming mirrors, but the Toyotas can turn into a rear camera mirror. And then both of them have expansive panoramic sunroofs, a first for the Mazda brand. Now heading around to the rear, the stuff back here is probably just as important as what's in the front, which is why I'm happy to report that both offer excellent dimensions for the class. The Mazda has the greater leg and headroom measures, with the legroom being ever so slightly above the 5% threshold. As far as the features back here, both of them have rear air vents as well as 2 charging USB ports and heated seats. Moving out back, both have power tailgates, but only the RAV4 includes foot activation. And once the gates raise up, you'll find significantly more space in the Toyota than the Mazda. With both the rear seats in place and folded, the RAV4 has 15 to 20% more capacity. But as you can see, this is still a very tight race, so now let's take them out for a spin and see who's going to come out on top. Alrighty, so hitting the road with the RAV4 and CX-50 is where we find the starkest differences. Obviously, the powertrains have totally different missions, with the Mazda's 2.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder focused on performance, and the RAV4's hybrid powertrain focused on efficiency. That means, as you would expect, the CX-50 will certainly win in a straight line, although the electric propulsion on the RAV feels pretty spunky in its own way.
California 150 West for 13 miles.
Man, just like that, 60 miles per hour.
Effortless.
Yeah, so the CX-50 with the turbo engine is quick, just like we expect from all the Mazdas that have this turbo engine. above 60 miles an hour just like that. So of course, this being the hybrid model, that actually is going to mean that you're going to have a little bit more power than the gas-powered model. And you can feel that from behind the wheel. So total system is 219 horsepower, which is pretty good, and really shoots you off pretty nicely.
Yeah, the thing about the hybrid is that the battery components give you that instantaneous torque when you're taking off. So from a dead standstill acceleration like that, it's actually really impressive. It takes off with a lot of force, and then, you know, overall 220 horsepower is very good for this segment. It makes it one of the most powerful things you can get in this segment, besides for maybe a turbo Mazda CX-5.
I already mentioned that both of them have all-wheel drive, but part of the powertrain differences are the transmissions. The Mazda is using a 6-speed automatic, while the hybrid version of the RAV4 has a CVT. Now, I want to go ahead and talk about the transmission. That is, of course, something that's different from the full gas-powered RAV4. Instead of an 8-speed automatic, we're going to have the eCVT transmission on board. Behaves like a continuously variable transmission. Nice and responsive. You know, as you can see, you put your foot down, you get that power immediately. Really, it's just all another good aspect of this hybrid system, how everything works together really nicely and smoothly in the day-to-day life.
It really just pulls so hard.
Yeah, like I said, this has always just been an engine that really impresses me. So let's talk about some of the other aspects of the powertrain. We do have a 6-speed automatic on board with this model, so that is the same, of course, as the other Mazda products, including the CX-5. You know, some of the rivals do, of course, have 8-speed automatics, maybe even a 10-speed automatic. So maybe some extra gears could be beneficial, but what I always say about Mazda products, and it does also apply to this CX-50, this is a really smooth transmission. Now, as far as the other driving characteristics, both have nice ride quality and well-controlled dynamics. That being said, there is simply no beating the driving dynamics of the Mazda, which has amazing handling, A+ steering, and an overall composure that would embarrass more than a few German luxury SUVs.
Sound level. The ride quality is really great. As we've learned throughout having this vehicle for the entire week, it really just blends into your lifestyle. As you can see, we're going over a very rough bridge abutment, and of course you can feel it. This is not a luxury car with an air suspension, but it does a great job of just soaking up the bumps as well as it really can, and this is one of the best riding vehicles within the entire segment. And then I do also want to talk about the ride quality, because we're here on a California highway. It's a beautiful highway, and we'll talk about the driving dynamics in just a second, but most of you guys realistically are going to be driving the CX-50 maybe in a city or a suburban highway or something, and it does a fantastic job. You know, we've spent the entire day with the CX-50, and I've been nothing but impressed. The seats are very comfortable. The ride quality itself is really good, despite us having the really large 20-inch wheels. It soaks up the bumps exceptionally well, and it's also very quiet inside this cabin.
But what we can do at this point is start to talk about the driving dynamics. This, to me, was one of the biggest question marks with the CX-50, because, of course, you know, Mazda was talking about the additional off-road capability and ruggedness of this product. But we wanted to know, is it going to keep the signature Mazda handling? I mean, what Mazda would be complete without wonderful handling? I'm so happy to report that they have kept all these signature characteristics. This feels so good behind the wheel. Just like with the CX-5, it drives so much smaller than it even is. Mason was commenting on this. It doesn't feel that much different than like the Mazda 3 hatchback we had. Like, all the Mazdas just have that baked into the core of their DNA. So when you toss around a corner, the body stays nice and stable. You have very little body roll. The steering is fantastic. They do such a good job. It has great heft to it, great accuracy. I do also want to mention that the Mazda is quieter at our highway sound test, though not by a big enough margin to score a point.
We're looking at 60.6 was going 55. We're looking at 57.6 is our sound level reading, which.
Lastly, for fuel economy, the RAV4's hybrid engine gives it an enormous advantage over the CX-50's turbo. It gets 15 miles per gallon combined better fuel economy, which is a 46% difference. And that's it for this comparison. As you can see, the end result is a very tight race. Let us know in the comments below which one you would go for, because each model has distinct advantages and disadvantages over the other. Anyway guys, thanks for joining us for this car confections comparison. And be sure to subscribe for more comparisons and our signature full review videos. When you subscribe, it makes it easier for us to get access to the latest vehicles on the market for you to see. Also give us a follow on TikTok and Instagram. Take care and stay safe out there.